Welcome to the DataOnline Asset Viewer tutorial. Once you have downloaded the app, select the app and provide your username and password. If you haven't been provided with credentials, please contact your local DataOnline representative. During the login process, all the assets pertaining to that domain are being loaded in the background. Once we're ready, we'll be presented with the home screen. The top part shows the 5 latest events for this particular domain. The bottom part shows 4 buttons that will lead us to different screens, which will be discussed throughout this tutorial. The 5 latest events at the top part are shown. They show the asset name for each particular event. They show the name of the event, in this case full, and they show the timestamp when the event was created. They also show different colors for different importance levels. For example, a blue with a blue icon is for information, just saying that this tank was being filled. The red one is more important and is a reorder event, and so on. We also see that there's not only level events, but there are also missing data events, which are being depicted by a special or particular icon. At the right, we can also see a check mark to show whether an event has been acknowledged, yes or no. We will come back to that later on. Once we've gone through the events, you can select an event that is of particular importance to you. For example, the first one in the list. By simply clicking it, we go to the next screen, which is called Event Details. The top part of the Event Details screen shows the asset information. It shows you the device ID of the RTU that is sending the signal to our system. It shows the address and the name of the asset. The middle part shows the information about the event. It shows when the event was created, the description of the event, and a message that gives a bit more information. The bottom part shows the reading information of the data channel that triggered the event. You notice that each part, the top and the bottom part, have an arrow to the right. If we click it, we get more information. By clicking the top part, we get more asset information, so we show the asset details page. Here we see that there is not only a level data channel, but also a battery data channel connected to this asset, and that there is an active reorder event. The reorder event is depicted in yellow and is being shown, and you can see on the graph that it's linked to the level data channel. By turning the screen or clicking on the data channel that you want to see more information of, we will be presented with a graph. On the graph, we see lines for the different information, the different importance levels of this level data channel. And we see that we currently have a reading of 24.5, which corresponds to just below the reorder level. We can also click on any point on the graph to see more details about the level and the timestamp of that particular data point. We see the different dates, see both historical and forecasted data. If you don't want to see forecasted data and just historical, we can click on the little wheel and disable the forecast. If we do so, we are presented only with historical data. I'll switch it back on. On the top, you can also switch between the default view of 1 week, or go, for example, to show a bit more information about how the evolution has been in the past and look at the last 3 months worth of data. And then we see that indeed it's following a typical pattern. We click back to go back to the asset details page. When we're on the graph, we can also swipe to see the next data channel. In this case, the volts or the battery charge. We can again zoom in and out on the different to show a different time frame. And by pinching, we can zoom in if you want a bit more information about the current level, for example, vertical zoom or also horizontal zoom to show more detail of the evolution. When we click back, we go back to the asset details page. If we see that this is an event that needs further attention and we want to follow further on what's happening with this particular asset, we can add it at the bottom of the screen to the watch list. And it gives a confirmation that the asset has been added to the watch list. Now we go back to the home screen. And if we look into the asset list, we will see that indeed Nix Metalworks this new asset has been added to the watch list. If we no longer need an asset, for example, we see Silver Moon Brewery is now green and does no longer have events, we can delete it from the watch list or remove it from the watch list by simply swiping to the left and clicking remove. The asset is no longer being presented in the watch list. Now we go back to the home screen. And we have seen now the 5 latest events, but maybe we want to see all events, and this can be done either by clicking View All or simply clicking the Events button. And now we see that we're showing all 8 out of 8 events. On the Assets screen, we can also use a filter and filter on particular either importance level, event types, or events that have been acknowledged, yes or no. So in this case, let's remove missing data. Let's say we're not interested in those events and we only see the other types of events, and we can apply. And then you see that event types are indeed being filtered on level, usage rate, and so on. If you want to remove the filter, simply click the filter again. We click Select All and Apply. And if you want to see only missing data, we deselect all the others and only focus on the missing data events, and so on. So now that we've looked at the event of Nix Metalworks, we can click at the bottom the Acknowledge event so that somebody knows that we're dealing with that already. Now we will see that on all screens that show this event, a green checkmark is shown to show people that we're already investigating this particular event and that they don't need to take any further action. We go back to the home screen and we will do the Find Assets. In this screen, we are presenting all the assets. So in this case, we have 18 assets and we can scroll through them to see all the different assets. You see that some assets are green, which means that they're fine and then they don't have any icon, so there is no event pertaining to this particular asset. However, some events have an icon, but the level is in green. This means that there's probably a missing data event because the level is still fine, and others have a red level and an icon. This means that there's something wrong with there's an event on that particular item for the level. On the asset screen, we see the asset title, the address, the product that is in this tank, and the device ID of the RTU that is sending out the signals to our system. We also see a dynamic icon, so you see that some assets show as quite empty, others show as more full or completely full. So this is dynamically filled, and where possible, we also show the percentage of level that is still left in the tank. The same holds for any other data channel, for pressure or temperature and so on. In the asset screen, we can search on particular objects. For example, we can search on the device ID. So if I start typing FF752, for example, I will see only one asset. If I just type FF75, we will see that all RTUs starting with FF75 are being shown. We can filter on location, for example, Portland. If I filter on Portland, there we go. As soon as you start typing, dynamically the asset list is being updated and we see 2 assets left in Portland. If we want to see all breweries, we can start typing brewery. And we see that 3 assets correspond with this title. If we click search, we don't see the keyboard anymore. We've always looked at the all assets, but there's also a button recently viewed assets, which will show you the assets that you have looked at recently during this current session. So this will be populated if we look at other assets. Let's have a quick look at an asset. So Lar Duke Welding. assets screen and recently viewed, we see that indeed Larduke is also added to this list. We click the back button to return to the home screen. Finally, we will click on the settings button, where we will be presented with the version number of this app, the username, the language that is selected for this particular user, and the refresh data. If the user leaves the app inactive for this amount of time and comes back to the app, the data will be refreshed. If the user leaves the app for less than this time, for example, for 1 or 2 minutes, and returns to the app, the data will not be refreshed in the background. Finally, if the user has access to multiple domains, this will be visible at the bottom, and the user will be able to click another domain to switch to that particular domain. And once we're done, we simply click the sign out button and we're presented with the home screen.